They were finally caught because a hospital machine remembered something humans had overlooked. This is Darren's Case Files. In the late 1980s, a man named Charles Cullen began working as a nurse in New Jersey. He wasn't loud, he wasn't charismatic. In fact, co-workers mostly described him as quiet and withdrawn. But hospitals liked him for one simple reason. He was willing to work the night shift, those overnight hours when staffing was thin and supervision was limited. Over the next 16 years, Cullen worked in 9 different hospitals across New Jersey and Pennsylvania in the US. But behind that calm exterior was a troubled man. Cullen struggled with severe depression and had attempted suicide several times. Yet despite these warning signs, hospital after hospital continued hiring. And wherever he worked, patients began dying. Inside hospitals, death is not unusual. We know this. Patients are often very sick. So when someone dies unexpectedly, doctors usually assume complications. But something unusual kept happening on Cullen's shift. Patients who were stable suddenly collapsed. Heart rates would crash, alarms would sound, and doctors could not explain why. What no one realized was that Cullen had started injecting patients with lethal doses of medication, often digoxin, a heart drug, or insulin, which can cause a fatal blood sugar crash. Some victims were already ill, but others were recovering and expected to survive. Cullen didn't choose based on age, background, or anything. His victims were essentially random. Over time, hospital administrators began noticing something strange. Deaths sometimes increased when Cullen worked, but instead of launching full investigations, no, many hospitals chose a much quieter option. They simply encouraged Cullen to resign. Why? Because investigating a nurse for murder could create lawsuits and public panic. No way. So Cullen would leave, and then he would apply somewhere else, and the next hospital would hire him, completely unaware of the concerns at his previous job. This cycle repeated again and again, each time giving Cullen a fresh hospital and new patients. In 2003, Cullen began working at Somerset Medical Center in New Jersey. Soon after, several patients died suddenly, but this time, investigators noticed something unusual. The deaths were connected to unexpected medication doses, and those medications came from a computerized dispensing cabinet. Let's talk a little bit more about this, because for this case, this is very important. Most hospitals store medications in secure machines called automated dispensing cabinets, ADCs. Every time a nurse removes a drug, the machine records the staff member's login, the exact medication taken, and the precise time it was removed. Investigators reviewing the logs noticed a disturbing pattern. Certain drugs were being removed shortly before patients crashed, and the name attached to those withdrawals kept appearing again and again. Charles Cullen. The machine had quietly recorded the pattern no one else had seen. Police began building a case, but they needed proof, so they turned to someone Cullen trusted, a fellow nurse named Amy Lochran. She had worked alongside him and gained his confidence. Investigators asked her to secretly record conversations with him. During long talks in quiet rooms and phone calls late at night, Cullen slowly began to open up. Eventually, he admitted something chilling. He said he had been ending patients' suffering. But investigators knew that wasn't true. Many of his victims had been improving. They were not dying until Cullen decided they should. Wow. Once Cullen confessed, investigators began reviewing medical records going back years. What they found was horrifying. Cullen admitted to killing at least 40 patients, but experts believe the real number could exceed 300 victims. Many deaths had been recorded as natural causes. In 2006, Cullen pleaded guilty to multiple murders. He was sentenced to 11 consecutive life sentences. Today, he remains imprisoned in New Jersey. A nurse who turned hospitals into places of quiet danger. Charles Cullen was supposed to save lives. Instead, he became one of the deadliest serial killers in history. And the most disturbing part of the story is that for years, the warning signs were there, but the systems in place kept letting him walk into another ward and another room full of patients. Until next time.